Good afternoon and welcome to the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Steering Committee. It is Tuesday, June the 25th, 2024, 12:35 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. First order of business is the approval of the agenda.
Resolved that the agenda for the June 25th, 2024 meeting of the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Steering Committee be approved as presented.
Anyone interested in moving and or seconding? Okay, Councillor Noble will move, Councillor Widner will second. All in favor? We are carried. Section 3, adoption of the minutes.
Resolved that the minutes of the March 26th, 2024 Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Steering Committee meeting be adopted.
We have a mover and seconder, Councillor Cookett, and Councillor Noble will second. If there are no errors or omissions, all in favor? Carried. Would remind the committee of any disclosures of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none. We have no delegations, which brings us to section 6, reports and briefings, 6.1, manager of corporate facilities and the director of homes and senior services, Terrace Lodge redevelopment, June 2024 project update and temperature and humidity concerns. Ryan and Michelle, who wants to take the lead on this one?
I'll take it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Through you, Mr. Warden, to the members of steering committee. On May 15th, I'm here to provide an update on the building for the phase for the Terrace Lodge redevelopment project. On May 15th, 2024, 18 residents moved into phase 2, newly renovated 2-story north residence home area. Move day was supported by volunteers, residents, family members, Terrace Lodge staff, Terrace Lodge staff and staff from across the county to ensure that residents were moved efficiently. Phase 3 of the Terrace Lodge redevelopment project is currently underway. Phase 3 involves the renovation of the existing first floor and the basement core area, along with renovations of the existing south resident home areas, which will mirror the phase 2 north resident home areas renovations. At this time, D Grant, the county's contractor for the Terrace Lodge redevelopment project, is continuing to work in the main kitchen renovation, removing the ACM, the asbestos containing materials, and cleaning the existing resident home areas to its shell. D Grant is transforming the existing chapel into a gift shop and increasing the size and amount of change rooms in the pool area. Since occupancy of phase 2, there's been an increased amount of, since occupancy and especially during the recent increase in seasonal temperatures, dietary staff have been uncomfortable working within the north resident home area. Kitchen areas. These kitchen areas are equipped with commercial dishwashers and other commercial appliances. The residual heat from the equipment is creating excessive humidity and temperature concerns. The home kitchens are approximately 150 square feet in size and are equipped with 350 CFM fan. There's no provisions made for fresh air, cooling, or diffusers allowing from adjacent rooms. Staff are tracking both temperature and humidity to provide a humidex and to provide in these working areas. Doors are being propped open and fans have been placed in these areas. Staff are not utilizing the dishwasher in these resident home areas. Staff are taking the meal services dishes to the main kitchen, and staff are utilizing disposable dishes when the humidex readings exceed 45 degrees. Despite these temporary measures, humidex readings remain high with the current seasonal temperatures, and staff are being provided with heat breaks and humidex readings when above 45 degrees. Staff are recommending that split air conditioner units be installed in levels 1 and levels 2 of phases 2 and 3, north and south wings, to alleviate the heat and humidity in these areas. The county has sought quotations from both D Grant and our contracted HVAC and electrical contractors. D Grant's quote for phase 2 came in at $37,000 plus HST, and the quotes that we received from our contractors totaled $17,000 plus HST. As previously communicated to the steering committee, humidity readings throughout the home continue to be high. As we positively pressurize the building from exhausted air from the resident washrooms, The design intent for the air handling units is to supply fresh air. These units are programmed by ministry standards to maintain between 22 and 26 degrees Celsius. The air handling units bringing in the unconditioned high humidity air, creating discomfort with the current seasonal temperatures and humidity. County staff continue to engage with MMC architects, the county's architect for answers, and it being assured that once phase 3 continues or comes online, the chiller will be at capacity and will have the ability to remove all the humidity. To date, for change orders, we've had 198 change orders, totaling $1,568,000, 324. That's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
Excuse me. Thank you, Ryan. Any questions for staff on that report? Councilor Woodner.
Yes, thank you. Warning to you to Ryan. I know we had some humidity issues talked about before. Was there any damages that we had to mitigate, or is that still an ongoing thing?
There are no evident damages from the high humidity in the home. Some of the rooms we're noticing humidity levels up to 80% humidity. So it is quite discomforting. We've had several meetings and with both engineers, the architects to resolve this issue. The latest last week, we met with the actual supplier of the chiller, and they're telling us that if we bring 5-degree air over the chiller, we lower the temperature of the chiller. And they're saying if air passes over a 13-degree coil, that the coil should drip off all the humidity in the air. That's what their belief is. They brought out all the tables and charts to go along with it. And that's what their belief is. So if we bring in room temperature air over a 13-degree coil, it should just sweat all the humidity out. So they're thinking once it gets online and phase 3 is all full demand, that we should be quite sufficient.
Okay, we will find out, won't we? You have a question, Councilor Noble? Yes.
Through you, Warden, to Ryan. So if we put more demand on the system, they think it'll work better? Is that, it make sense?
Through your Warden to Councilor Noble. Their belief is once we have more cooling demand, the chiller will be running at fuller capacity and it should be able to cycle on at a longer period of time. The second attempt that they're also going to try is what they're going to do is reduce the speeds in the vertical fan coils. So each resident room has a vertical fan coil that will cool the air in that resident's room. So they're going to change the speed of the fan. It's got multiple speed tap settings on there, and they're going to blow the air over the coil at a slower pace. They're hoping to be able to dissipate more condensation that way.
Forgive me for sounding a little skeptical but it almost sounds like this is trial and error. It's like guinea pig scenario here. Like I would have thought that this was proven technology.
We asked that question at last site meeting if there's other homes that have this exact same setup, and the engineers were supposed to get back to us. We're still waiting on a response on the ideal situation. The site engineer did mention in an ideal situation in a new home, they would have put rooftop units in, but because of the height of the ceiling, we were limited. So they ended up they went with vertical fan coils. The secondary to that of the reason not going with rooftop units was having individual vertical fan coils allowed them to isolate all the localized air. So when we're in an outbreak, we don't pass all that air throughout the home and we can lessen impact.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Any other questions? It is a concern, it definitely is with this kind of investment and that you can't seem to get the air quality right for residents and yeah. Okay. Any additional questions from any of the committee members? Yes, Councilor Noble.
Through Mr. Warden, how long before that other phase comes online that we can test it? Is that going to be something that happens during the summer months? Or are we gonna come online in the fall when we don't need the air conditioning and we don't have the humidity issue? Just curious.
Through you, Mr. Warden and Councillor Noble. Phase 3 tentatively, as of we speak right now, is slated to probably be done right around February of next year. So we won't see the results of the humidity until next spring. We continue to carry all these minutes in our meeting minutes so that we have a leg to stand on if need be next year when we have high humidity.
Okay. Carry on, please.
We'll really be in a problem if we kick it all in next year and it's worse than it is now. Just thought I'd mention that. You guys already know that, though.
I believe they are well aware of it. Yeah.
We're trying to document all that we can right now, and we've expressed our concerns to the engineers. Their belief is they keep going back to the stats and their graphs based upon room, air temperatures and the temperature of the coil. Their belief is that it's going to work. So we're kind of got our hands tied with them telling us that once it's full and full operating on the chiller and with everything online, then it's going to work. So at this point, we can't really argue with the fact until, as much as it's creating a ton of discomfort, the home's not, it could have lasting effects on the home for the high humidities. We're doing all that we can at this point to reduce the humidity, sorry. And the other thing is from the county standpoint, we don't want to add humidifiers on our own because we could pull all the trending from the BAS system, our building automation, and that'll give us stats if we ever need that from the past. So if it ever does go to court or whatever, or something does happen with us, we don't have the system that we want, we have something to stand on. I would rather not put something in place, temporary countermeasures to reduce the humidity, and then our building will look like we have good humidity when it doesn't.
Councillor Cockett, please.
Just a quick question. Does our contract allow for fix it or bring in a new one?
Our contract, basically the way everything's going is if it's not correct, it goes to a change order and we pay a change order fee. But what we're doing right now is we're documenting everything that should have been caught during the engineering stages. And then once the building's complete, we'll sit with legal and see where we stand.
Please, Councillor.
Change order fee. What's meant by a change order fee?
Anytime there's a change to the building that differs from the original drawings, it goes to a contingency change order. The county approves that. It comes with the cost associated with it, and that's where we use the contingency allowance budget. So if the drawings miss something, if it showed it on the architecturals but didn't show it on the mechanicals, the mechanical contractor didn't quote it, we would be at the end of the day held responsible to pay for that because it wasn't listed inside the mechanical drawings.
Sorry, I'm just trying to understand the contract. I guess usually a change order fee is an addition to something that we hadn't thought of, or a change that's required because of unforeseen circumstances. In this case, we're talking about units that are malfunctioning. So units that are malfunctioning, we really don't have any recourse if they don't function properly, other than buying other ones, I guess, and through change order. Is that my understanding? I'm just trying to understand that.
No, sorry. The units are functioning. The design intent, my belief, isn't totally correct. And the units are not pulling the humidity out of the air, but the units are cooling the air. The problem is we can't bring all the humidity out of the air based upon trying to keep it at 22 to 26 degrees Celsius.
All right, thank you. Please, Councillor Noble.
To you, Mr. Warden. Did the engineers anticipate this challenge with the renovation and the other unit, like the rest of it not being online? Because if they're saying it's not because it's online, then, and when the front half comes online, and then we won't have any humidity issue. If that's true, they should have anticipated that when they were planning the whole renovation. Did they give us any indication that this might be an issue? Did they anticipate this issue?
No, there was nothing brought to our attention. It was our concerns that were brought forward to them with the high humidity. And we're just dealing with the remedy of the repercussions of the building. But that being said, the chiller is on the roof, and all it does is it takes in, say, 14-degree temperature. That's what's coming back on the loop. It brings it down to 5 degrees and then sends it back into the building. So the chiller, whether we have more online, they're thinking once the building's completely done, we'll have a more of an airtight building. We'll have less openings in the building, because right now when you have the phase 3 open, we have penetrations in the building where humidity can come in as well. So they're anticipating that with all the penetrations being closed up, that less humidity will also be able to enter the building. And that's what they're thinking as well.
Counselor Noble.
So if they didn't anticipate it, then this issue, when it's all back online, probably is not going to fix our problem.
I as well don't think it's going to be corrected. I think there's still going to be further issues. I've also reached out to our engineered air rep, who also does the rooftop units. We usually reach out to them prior to ordering a rooftop unit. They'll help us size and spec out a unit. And as I mentioned at the last August meeting, at our other homes, we heat the air as well as cool the air to pull the humidity out. Due to the new ASHRAE laws, they're telling us, the engineers are telling us that we cannot no longer do that. It's not permitted due to environmental standards. So we're getting quotations from engineered air. We're seeing it's feasible or possible to do this. We're doing our work on our part to see what we can do to mitigate these issues down the road if we end up having this. Right now, our hands are kind of tied. We're waiting on, if they're telling us by phase 3, then it's all going to be corrected and rectified, then we're not going to, I don't want to spend a ton of money on something in the meantime.
Counselor Widner.
Thank you, Warden. The 1.5 million is, how much of that is for this air humidity problem?
Not as much as you would think. Of that 1.5, we took 113,000 out for the abatement for the asbestos. But the problem is every change order we sign, they're almost at a $20,000 change order. Like I mentioned in my report, so I didn't put it in my report. I gave a verbal on that. I got the secondary costing back from the split units for the phase 2 installation. My costing came back from Smith and Anderson, from DeGran at 37,000. And then after I had a quote from our HVAC and our electrical contractors that we have that do all of our service. Our costing came in at $17,000. So a difference of $20,000 on installing one split unit. So we pay a premium. When we go, and when anything goes through the contract, we pay markups on everything. They call a certain amount of points. It's very difficult to, you can critique it. The engineers look at the hours that are allocated to it, and we can argue it as much as possible. And we do argue some of the change orders. But at the end of the day, if they put two men, 10 hours, and it goes from there.
This chiller, it must have refrigerant in it, does it? Is that how it works? It's just like an air conditioner then, basically. You're just like the same in your car or your home, it's just running the hot air over your evaporator and creating moisture and drying it out. So that should work.
All it's doing is taking water from the cooling units.
Yeah.
5-degree water to vertical fan. Passing that over the coil inside the resident room, and that's where we're gonna pass that cold water.
Water just drains out. Thank you.
Michelle, how are the residents coping with this?
So good question, through you to, the steering committee members as well. I can't walk down the hallway without being stopped, either by staff, residents or visitors. I guess that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I'm frequently stopped, to just get some, for them to provide a comment about the cooling and the temperatures and the humidity and looking for some reassurance. We have received one written complaint as well, which was submitted. There is a requirement within the Ministry of Long-Term Care as well for every long-term care home to have air conditioning that maintains the level of temperatures that Ryan spoke to. So there's risk there as well. We have air conditioning, it's just not functioning. So I'm not sure how that would be interpreted, or not functioning to full capacity or meeting the current needs, addressing the humidity. So residents tend to be more tolerant of the heat and because they are on blood thinners and less active, but there are definitely concerns being brought forward.
Okay, thank you for
The
that.
common areas of the home, I will comment, are being managed fairly well. So they are cool. So the large dining spaces and the large program spaces. So we are directing them to those larger common areas where it seems to be more efficient. It's the resident rooms and the smaller areas that we're really struggling.
Okay, thank you for that. And I was going to ask you about compliance with ministry regs. And well, are there provisions in place because it is under renovation that there is a little slack given? I don't want to expose the homes, you know what I mean, to a problem from a penalty point of view.
Through you to the committee members as well. So we are required to have a heat prevention and management policy in place. So we do have other cooling measures that we implement, such as bringing residents to a common area where it is cooler, ensuring that we're doing assessments for any signs of heat-related illness, and encouraging more fluids and cool fluids and popsicles, those types of thing, and just minimizing time outside as well when it's a really hot day. So there are measures that we're putting in place. We're limited in the ability to use fans since COVID. So that's not an option that we have available to us at this time. So, but we do have a policy and staff are monitoring residents very carefully.
All right, thank you for that. Anything else from committee members on this report? All right, seeing nothing. Catherine, please.
Resolved that the report titled Terrace Lodge Redevelopment, June 2024, Project Update and Temperature and Humidity Concerns from the Manager of Corporate Facilities and the Director of Homes and Senior Services dated June 25th, 2024, be received and filed.
Mover and seconder, please. Okay, Counselor Noble, Counselor Cookett. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 6.2, Director of Financial Services, the Treasurer, Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Construction Cost Update, June 25th, 2024. Jen.
Through you, Mr. Warden, to the committee members. The committee last received a financial update in March of 2024. We have now entered into phase 3 of the project, and staff are bringing this report forward to identify some areas for consideration and to report on the progress. The budget as of June 17th, 2024 shows that we are at 6.5 million still remaining in this project. The construction invoices that were included were up to the end of April 30th. That was the most recent information that finance had, and they were paid. The construction costs at that point indicated that approximately 83% of construction was completed at that time. And D Grant has indicated to our group that this is not expected to go over budget. As previously reported, the construction manager's contract fee within the construction budget above is now exhausted. This amount was set at $983,820. And staff advised that D Grant has suggested that an unallocated budget line called escalation allowance non-tendered could be utilized to offset additional costs on that line. They do not expect that they will use it for other purposes. As per the last payment, this line item contained $128,783 and showed no spend. There will therefore be no additional cost to make this move within the scope of the existing contract. The rate of that use on that construction manager's account line item would be approximately 5 months during phase 3. So that our history shows that this amount would last approximately 5 months. However, D Grant has indicated that they don't expect it to go over budget, so. The contingency budget accommodates change orders required throughout the project. The D Grant invoice of April 30th is not the most up-to-date list that we had, so we went to our engineering department, who is keeping an accurate list of the daily change orders, and the contingent budget is approximately 361,000 available, with approximately 100,000 items or unsigned or proposed change orders that are pending. As a result, this would leave us approximately a contingency balance of 261,000. Consulting services, staff are closely monitoring the consulting services for opportunities to reduce costs in this area as we near the end of the project to ensure that we don't go over that expected line item. Technology, furniture, and fixtures, miscellaneous, are related to outside costs not covered by the construction or of the facility. The construction ends at phase 3, which that unfortunately I put phase 2, but it should be phase 3. And it is expected that these budgets will be further utilized as we incur additional costs before that final move-in date. And this will ensure that the facility is outfitted with the necessary equipment for residents and staff before the final move-in date. Financing, to date, the county has taken out $1 million on our loan with Infrastructure Ontario in order to secure our position and to show the intent to borrow the additional 24 million. Since our last report, the rate dropped from 4.72 to 4.69. This is a daily fluctuating rate, so it changes on a daily basis. So it would depend on what day we take out that loan as to what that rate will be. It is our expectation that interest rates will continue to decrease and that we will be able to secure the loan in early 2025 at a lower rate than today. This is important because we will have to secure that loan at that rate, and it will be for the full term of that loan, so we will not be able to refinance it. Until then, we relinquish some opportunity to invest funds in GICs in order to earn interest, but we are saving a bit on the other end, so. And that's the full report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jen, for that report. Any questions? The essential story is that it's still expected to be on budget.
That's what they're telling us, yes.
Okay. Counselor Noble.
Through you, Warden. So if we're 83%, we only have 17% left to go, and that's still gonna take us to February. I just was kind of questioning that 83% done. That seems like a lot if we're still in construction mode for another 7 months, 8 months.
Okay, any additional questions? Okay, Catherine.
Resolved that the report titled Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Construction Costs Update, June 25th, 2024, from the Director of Financial Services Treasurer, Director of Homes and Senior Services, and Manager of Corporate Facilities be received and filed.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Whitner, Counselor Noble will second. All in favor? That's carried. Which brings us down to closed meeting.
Resolved that we do now proceed into closed meeting session in accordance with the Municipal Act to discuss the following matters under Municipal Act Section 239-2. Closed meeting item number 1, LS 24-9, construction issue. Under Section E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and Section F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Noble, Counselor Cookett, all in favor? That's carried. Welcome back. Motion to rise and report, please.
Resolved that we do now rise and report.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cookett will move. Counselor Noble will second. All in favor? That's carried. Closed meeting item number 1.
Resolved that the Director of Legal Services proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Whitner, Counselor Noble will second. All in favor? Carried. Do we have a date for our next meeting, or is it to call the chair? Call the chair. Which brings us to the adjournment.
Resolved that we do now adjourn at 1:26 p.m. to meet again at the call of the chair.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Whitner and Counselor Cookett will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you for joining us for this committee meeting. Look forward to seeing you again. We're adjourned.